Hello, good morning students of class 12 commerce. Today our topic of discussion is money supply and its various measures. It may not be completed in one period, but I am trying my best to complete it in one session. So, what is exactly the meaning of money supply? Money supply is nothing but the total spendable amount of money of an economy at a given point of time. I repeat the statement. Money supply is nothing but the total spendable amount of money of an economy at a given point of time. So, this is a quantity that can be measured at a point of time. So, obviously it is a stock concept, it is a stock variable. It's not a flow variable. It is not measured over a period of time, but it can be measured at a particular point of time. Thus, what is money supply? That is, money supply equal to C plus DD, where C stands for currency and coins and DD stands for net demand deposit in commercial banks. Thus, M equal to C plus DD. So, now we will discuss a couple of points which are not considered as part of money supply or which are not included in money supply. Those are, first point is cash reserve of central bank. Commercial bank. CB stands for commercial bank. So cash reserve of commercial bank. So what is this cash reserve? You see students, the institution or the financial organization that accepts deposits and advances loans are called a bank. So, a institution, if it is doing the twin function of accepting deposit and lending or advancing loans, it can be named as a bank. So, banks, do you think all the deposits that are deposited in a commercial bank is advanced as a loan? The answer is a no. Because suppose a bank received 100 rupees of deposit, then its total volume or amount of deposit is 100 rupees. So, the bank is not authorized, not able to lend all the 100 rupees as loans. Why? Because he has to maintain two different types of reserves. One type of reserves he maintains with the Reserve Bank of India, and one type of reserves he maintains with itself, so that the system works smoothly, which are called CRR, cash reserve ratio, and LRR, liquidity reserve, SLR, statutory liquidity ratio. Once again I repeat, CRR, that is cash reserve ratio, plus SLR, that is statutory liquidity ratio. So CRR and SLR combinedly makes LRR, which stands for legal reserve ratio. So out of its total deposit, the commercial banks maintain two types of reserves, which is called the legal reserve ratio. So suppose the government fixes SLR and CRR to be 10% each. So if the commercial bank is receiving 100 rupees of initial deposit, then out of that 100 rupees he would deposit as SLR 10 rupees and as CRR 10 rupees. Thus 20 rupees. If it is reduced from 100 rupees, then remaining is 80 rupees. So, out of 100 rupees of initial deposit, a commercial bank can advance as a loan only 80 rupees because it is maintaining two types of reserves of 10 and 10 rupees. So, this cash reserve ratio of commercial bank, this is not considered as the supply or the part of money supply, because it is not spendable amount. It is kept reserve as a security. And second one is stock of gold held by RBI. Here I would like to tell you something, that money We all know that the Reserve Bank is having the sole authority, the only authority it is to print different denominations of currency notes. So why then we are poor? Whatever amount the government or the RBI wishes, it can print as notes. So there should not be any poverty. All of us should be rich. But that's not the truth, because even if the government wishes, it cannot print notes or currencies beyond a limit. And what will happen if the government prints more than necessary requirement of currency notes? Then it would affect the general price level, and there will be a inflationary situation, that prices would start rising, and it is not desirable for an economy. That's why the government made some principle. So earlier we will discuss it in some other chapter, in banking chapter, that while printing currency notes, what are the things that are considered, and what are the system under which a government or the RBI print notes. That is, we have two different system: 100% reserve, 100% system, and we have the minimum reserve system. That is, so suppose we are maintaining 100%. Just imagine the economy when gold coins were prevalent. That time, whatever may be the requirement of money, that much of gold was required, and it amounts to the 100% reserve system. But with the advancement in theory and in policy, many of the countries in the world nowadays are following the minimum reserve system. That means in India, the government or the RBI can print whatever amount of currency it wishes, but it has to keep in reserve minimum of 200 crore rupees. And out of those 200 crore rupees, 120 crore rupees worth of gold it must keep under the guidance or under the authority of Reserve Bank of India, and 80 crore rupees worth of foreign exchange. So 120 crore of gold and 80 crore of foreign exchange. Total amounts to be 200 crore rupees. That if the government keeps this much reserve with the RBI, then it can print any amount of currency notes it wishes. But still there are restrictions. The government, even if it wishes, it cannot print beyond a limit, because it would result in hyperinflation. So this is 120 crore of gold and 80 crore of foreign exchange. These are the stock of gold and stock of foreign exchange held by RBI, and this is not considered as the supply of money, because it cannot be withdrawn. It is not spendable. Then the third point comes: cash held in government treasury and by commercial banks. So just I have told you that commercial banks keep with itself a fraction or a percentage of its total deposits. That is the cash held by commercial bank and cash held in government treasury. These things are not considered as part of money supply, because these things are also not spendable. The economy cannot spend this money. And now we will come to another concept, that is money and high-powered money. So what is high-powered money and what is common money? Money that is usually satisfying the four basic functions, that is standard of deferred payment, store of value, then measure of value, and medium of exchange. If anything is capable of doing this or capable of having these four functions, then it is considered as money. And it is highly liquid, as we know. Instantly we can spend it and we can settle a debt using that money. But there are some form of money that is not as liquid as money. So based upon the degree of liquidity, we have divided money into two concepts, that is money and high powered money. So high powered money, what is that? It is total liability of a monetary authority of India. Liability, total liability. So what a simple piece of paper, the government declares it to be money and people accept that. So that's a liability. If I have a 2,000 rupees note, then the government has a liability of 2,000 rupees towards me. Thus, high powered money is C plus R. That is all cash which are highly liquid in nature and all reserves which are relatively less liquid in nature. Thus, high powered money is all cash and all reserve, whereas simple money is only cash. So, next point of discussion is measures of money supply, but it would itself take more than 15 minutes. That's why we would stop here today, and in our next class we will discuss about different measures of money supply, that is M1, M2, M3 and M4. That is also based on the degree of liquidity, and we will discuss it tomorrow. Just today I have sent you the notes of total money chapter, and right now I am sending you the question answer related to money chapter, and go through it, make the notes complete, make the question answer complete, and go through it, and any doubt arises you can ask me. So tomorrow it would be better if you a little bit prepare about, or a little bit you read about the different measures of money supply. Thank you and have a nice day.